All that at 6 o'clock. But first, Mark and Donna, a local father is in the midst of just a terrible situation.
Just a heartbreaking story, Michelle. What would you do if you were the parent of twin girls, both of whom are autistic, and the government informed you one of your kids would no longer receive life-enhancing therapy?
Now, that's the predicament Paul Ceretti of Hamilton is facing after being told one of his twin girls wasn't showing enough progress with her intensive behavior intervention therapy. The therapy is considered the gold standard treatment for youngsters like Mackenzie and Delanie Ceretti. But now it appears only Mackenzie will be allowed to continue receiving it, all due to an assessment which took place in less than 1 hour.
And joining us now in studio is Paul Ceretti. Paul, what reason were you given for the cancellation of funding for your daughter's therapy?
I was told that she was not progressing fast enough with her therapy.
Who told you that?
We received a letter from the ministry, I believe it's from Shidok, the Autism Intervention Program. And yeah, we just received a letter stating that she was not progressing fast enough.
And how much time did this person spend with your daughter to make this determination?
They spent about 45 minutes doing an assessment with Delanie.
45 minutes?
Yes.
And in that 45 minutes, they determined that she wasn't progressing.
Exactly.
And over the course of the almost 6 years that you've had your daughters, what kind of ups and downs do the girls go through on a daily basis, not in a 45-minute interval?
Well, there's a huge communication gap with both of them. Basically, we use sentence strips and a picture board so they can communicate.
And has this ability to communicate today, is it because of this intensive behavior intervention?
Absolutely, absolutely. They had pretty much no communication skills before IBI therapy, besides grabbing me by the hand and leading me to an object or an item that they wanted or needed. How
else has this IBI, this intensive therapy program, how else has it affected the children? In what other ways?
Well, their readiness to learn skills, they had none when they started. You wouldn't be able to sit them at a table. You wouldn't be able to give them any, even one-step directions. Now they are able to sit at a table for long periods of time, follow directions, like I said, use the sentence strip. They're very, a lot less frustrated due to the communication. Delanie herself is very injurious, self-injurious when she gets frustrated, so that has cut out probably 80–90%.
Are you concerned that without this therapy, Delanie will either suffer a setback or somehow simply won't progress?
Yes, I believe she will regress. She'll probably lose the skills that she's already gained, over the period of time that she's been in IBI.
Paul, I'm still amazed that someone, an assessor, I guess in this case here, could come and in the span of 45 minutes make this important determination that one of your girls doesn't qualify for this therapy and the other one does in 45 minutes. What's your recourse here? Is there any way you can get another assessor to come in, or is there a way that you can appeal this decision?
No, there is no appeal process. They did an independent review, which came back saying that they agree with the ministry that Delanie should be dismissed from the program. They wouldn't tell me who did the independent review.
Are you concerned that the province is trying to set up a benchmark for IBI therapy that will ultimately send hundreds of thousands of youngsters with autism into the school system when schools really aren't prepared to deal with them? Yeah,
the wait list is pretty big. I think it's about 1,400 right now. And without money to clear up the wait list, I believe they're finding ways to push children out of the program to enable the short list to get smaller.
So the bottom line is it's all about money.
Exactly.
Well, listen, Paul, we want to thank you for coming in, and I mean, here's just an example of what's wrong with the system. One of your daughters, both your daughters have autism. One of them no longer qualifies for this intensive therapy. The other one does, after a 45-minute assessment. Unbelievable. Thanks for joining us, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, joining us now from Queen's Park, we have Deb Matthews. She's the Minister of Children and Youth Services for the province of Ontario. Minister, I know that you don't normally comment on specific cases. Clearly, though, this father is crying out for assistance. Is there any way he can fight or appeal this decision?
Well, first let me say that, my heart goes out to families who have kids with disabilities, with kids with autism, and you could hear in his voice that this is a father who cares very, very much for his kids. To have twins with autism is an enormous challenge for any family. So I guess I want to say how much respect I have for him.
But can he appeal the decision?
We have to leave the experts to make the decisions. I don't think we want politicians making that kind of decision. What you do want politicians, though, to do is to commit to better services for kids with disabilities, including autism. And when it comes to autism, and I know this is no comfort to this particular father, we've more than tripled funding for autism. We have really made better services for kids with autism a priority.
You may have, Minister, but
yeah.
Clearly there isn't enough funding, or his one daughter wouldn't have been cut off. I mean, this sounds like it's strictly a decision, and what's going to end up happening is, because of this benchmark that has been determined by you and your ministry, a lot of kids are going to end up back in classrooms that simply aren't able to cope with the challenges of an autistic child.
Well, you raise a very important point, and that is the capacity of schools to be welcoming environments for kids with autism. I'm working very closely with the Minister of Education to make sure that our schools are places where kids with autism have the ability to achieve their potential. We've made some important progress on that. We have a long way to go, but there are some very good examples in this province of where schools are exactly the right place for kids with autism, and parents who have taken that admittedly big step to enroll their kids in school. They tell me it was the right decision.
Minister,
so we need to be there to support those families as the kids make the transition into schools.
I want to go back.
Minister,
I want to go back to this to Mr. Ceretti's case here, where Ceretti, he said that, and we all know that there's huge advances in retreats with autistic children, and how in a 45-minute session can someone determine whether this young girl should be able to qualify for this type of therapy. I find it ridiculous that in 45 minutes someone can make that assessment and put one of these little girls basically back on the sidelines to regress.
Well, I think we have to be a bit careful here, because we have experts who are very, very knowledgeable. In fact, in Hamilton, Dr. Peter Setsmari at McMaster University is one of those experts we rely on very heavily to inform our decisions about autism.
After 45 minutes, though?
I can't speak to the process other than to tell you that experts do know what they're doing. And parents have told us that they want more transparency. They want to understand why their child is getting service or is not getting service. And that's why we've asked Dr. Setsmari to help us develop the benchmarks and guidelines so that we can work with parents so they can understand why IBI might not be the best intervention for their children. Some kids do extremely well with IBI. Some do well over a period of time. Every child is different. Right. But what we do know is that IBI is one of a number of supports for kids with autism. And we are working very hard at expanding the range of supports for kids with autism and their families.
Okay. Thank you. That's Deb Matthews, the Minister of Children and Youth Services for the province of Ontario. Appreciate your time today, Minister.
Thank you.